Opie Radio.
So I'm sitting here in Carl's cabin in the middle of New Jersey in the woods. Like, it's unbelievable how quiet it is out here.
Isn't it beautiful?
I took your lead and I took another leak outside.
Okay.
I chose another tree, which was nice.
The tree you chose.
And I saw deer in the background.
Isn't it nice?
Just deer, just frolicking, enjoying an early spring.
I hate deer.
You hate deer? Why?
Because I just think they're aloof. The way they judge you from far away, like they all look at you and they prance away.
You think they judge?
Yeah, because you make all your like you're a city boy, right? So you make dog noises because you think it's a giant dog. They go, come here a little bit. And he's like, no, I'm leaving. You're a weirdo.
See, I lived in Western New York for a long time.
Right.
A lot of deer up there. A lot of deer that get hit by cars. Yeah. A lot of deer. When I used to drive home from Geneseo, and then it was Rochester years later, and then Buffalo after that, you would always see the cars coming back from their hunting with deer on the top of their, on top of their cars. You ever hear a deer cry like a baby?
Yeah.
You have?
Yes.
For real?
Yes.
And that's why I can't hunt.
Really?
Call me a boo. And I'm not against people that hunt. Blah, blah, blah. I just know I can't do that.
They make a crazy noise.
Right.
It's not even a baby. It sounds almost like a peacock. But what happens is, I'm not a gun guy, right? I just don't.
Right.
I'm not a gun guy. I don't think it's fair for the animal. I mean,
Carl, you need a gun up here in your cabin.
I didn't say I didn't have one.
Oh,
I
okay.
said I'm not a gun guy for hunting.
Okay.
It's kind of easy, right? Bow hunting, you have to get a lot closer. You can't smell.
It's a true sport?
It's a true sport. And I believe in the sport. Give the thing a shot.
So you're against...
No, I'm not against anything. I don't care if you show up with a howitzer. If that's what you want to do, that's fine.
Oh, so where are you at? All right, because you say it's with a bow, it's more of a sport. But how do you feel about these guys that spend whatever it is, $100,000, $200,000 to hit some farm in the middle of Texas, let's say, and literally the animals are sort of drugged and they kind of.
I don't think they're drugged.
They kind of take
old and they're fed.
No, I understand that part of it, but then it's like. They jump on a golf cart, get really close.
Let me tell you how I feel.
Where are you at with that?
Let me tell you how I feel about hunting. And maybe this is not going to sit well with people. But I believe when you hunt, killing the animal is just 5% of it. I enjoy the stalk. I enjoy the animal predator part of it.
I get that.
I enjoy being able to blend into an environment that something is very good at and beating it.
Right.
So that's what I love about close contact hunting. Like I know a couple guys in Hawaii, they go after wild boar with a knife.
Wow.
And they learn how to go after a giant wild boar just with a Bowie knife. That's hunting.
And they're vicious, right? They're very aggressive.
They're vicious, but guess what?
Yeah.
For that 1 second, you're more vicious than a wild boar.
F that.
So I believe I have amazing respect for bow hunters, for free hunters and knife hunters. I just think shooting something at 400 yards, you're more of a sniper. Then you don't have to be that quiet. You can sit tight. I see a lot of people with they put the deer cameras or my friend's a hunter, right? And it's not even hunting. He goes to an area and he puts a deer feeder there. So these things have been eating dry corn for 4 days. It's basically putting an Applebee's in the middle of the forest.
Coming right to you because
then he puts it right against the head and he puts it on the wall. Not my thing. I like feeling like an animal.
Right.
I like outsmarting an animal in its own environment. I don't think, having a 308 and just punching a 4-foot hole inside of an animal. I don't know what you're doing.
Right.
That's just me.
No,
but
I'm against the hunting farms where they pay a lot of money and the animals are obviously they would argue they're old. So, but I'm with you. Like if it's a sport and you're really it's taking skill and you got to track them and.
Right.
I'm with you.
And
Absolutely with you.
And one of the hardest things.
But to lay out, sorry, now you got me going.
Right.
But to lay out feed, knowing, training them that this is where the food is, and then
I'm kind of
2 weeks from now you're showing up in a nest,
Right.
A hunter's nest.
You got cameras, you got
Nah,
pictures
man.
of them and stuff. You're using technology
whatever.
that it's not using, right?
Right.
But I believe, hey, let's go out in the woods. And let me tell you something. When you go out raw like that, I mean, you have an idea where they are, but they hear you from a mile away. And animals communicate with each other in the most. And when you get to watch an animal for an extended period of time, you become that animal. You understand their movements. Like to the average person, like a little head fake that they do, they're telling the other people, like, yo, something's up. And I love that part of hunting. I love sneaking up on things. It's one of my since I was a little kid. When I was a little kid, you know what I did for a little while, where my parents thought I was crazy? I would dig ditches and cover them in leaves and just watch people fall into the
I love you.
So like all the other kids were playing tag, I'm building a hole and then cover it and then just watch like Brian Langpoop from down the street just get crushed in this little ditch.
How dumb is he?
Oh, I was a little smarter than him, and it would make my week when I would see this little dum-dum with his ice cream running across the yard and whoop, he was gone.
Of course.
I loved it.
Right.
I loved it. My parents, they found it so unsettling.
Yeah.
That I'd be in like what I thought the woods, which was this little plot of land between one house and another.
Right.
And I would track the neighbor.
That's hilarious.
I would track the neighbor for a week until I figured out where he would walk to make the shortcut. I'd build a ditch there.
Well, anyway, the leak was good. Saw the deer in the background. I'm speeding this along because I noticed that the sun is starting to go down, and I don't want to be at your cabin when it gets dark.
Me either. Can I go?
Okay. We're going to go get a bite to eat and hang out with some townies. But so I asked you how you met Guy Fieri.
So I was working at this restaurant, Son Cubano, and I was at the height of my craziness. And back then, Guy Fieri was on a show called Next Food Network Star. And it used to be live to tape. What live to tape means is they would film on Monday, show on Tuesday. I ran out of lobster one day, and I go into this little market, and on top of this market is where the Food Network shot this show. So he comes downstairs, and I just intersect with him, and I'm in my chef jacket, and I go, "You're Guy." He goes, "Yep." I said, "You're going to win this thing, Food Network Star." He goes, "No, I don't know. I go, "Trust me, here's my card. If you win, come and have dinner." So he looks at my card. He knows it's a good restaurant down the street. He goes, "Oh, you're the chef there?" I go, "Yeah." We part ways. 2 weeks later, I'm watching on TV that he won. Not even 45 minutes later, Mr. Chef Ruiz, there's a Guy Fieri. Do you see you? He's upstairs at the bar. He came to the restaurant.
Wow.
And I cooked for him, and he goes, "Holy shit, you're incredible."
Wow.
I said, "Thank you." He goes, "Listen, I'm embarking on this new TV thing. Could you come to leave everything and come to California and help me work at my restaurants?" And I look at this guy, and I said, "This guy's going to be somebody. This guy has a star quality that I've never seen before." So I looked at him and said, "Yep." So I resigned from the restaurant, got on a plane, flew to California.
Wow.
Overnight.
How long you live out there?
3 years.
Wow.
3 years.
So we're gonna tell the stories of you in Europe, and then the stories of you in California.
Yeah. Oh my God. A New Yorker in California. And now this is Northern California. Opie.
I love Northern California. I've only been twice.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's
one of the most beautiful places on earth.
I've gone to San Francisco twice.
Yes.
I was in San Francisco when I found out I was going to be a dad.
Wow.
I went the first time to see my old college roommate that lives up there. I was supposed to do a quick little trip. I was in Lake Tahoe skiing with some old radio buddies from Buffalo.
Is Tahoe?
Amazing. Loved it. And it was when I was fired. I don't know. I've been fired a bunch, but I was fired, and I was on the beach, as they call it in radio, for like 2 years. So I was traveling everywhere, and I was in Lake Tahoe with my old buddies in Buffalo, and I had no life. And it was time to go home to New York. And, you know, my buddy who lives in San Francisco was like, why don't you come see me? My old college roommate. I'm like, yeah. So I rented the last car in Lake Tahoe. When I was off the air for it was a little over 2 years, I was constantly ripping up plane tickets. I surprised my brother Brett, who owns F.H. Riley's, to a trip to the Grand Canyon. Great trip, started in Sedona, drove from Sedona to the Grand Canyon, which is, it's like God's country. It's so ridiculous how nice it is. If you drive from Sedona to the Grand Canyon and don't appreciate that ride, then you're not human.
You're dead inside.
You're dead inside.
Yeah.
So we have this great trip to the Grand Canyon, which I could tell on a future podcast.
Isn't that place majestic?
Ridiculous.
It's one of the few places that I've gone that I'm like, okay, it was worth it.
Yeah, of course. And you realize how insignificant you are and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, my mom did a good job of that. I didn't have to go to the Grand Canyon for that.
So then we had this amazing trip, and I drive us back to Sedona because I think we were flying out of, help me, Phoenix, I guess?
Yeah.
Did I fly into Phoenix, I think? And got him first class, really went all in. And we're at the airport. I wanted to make it dramatic in a way. I'm like, Brett, that was such a great trip. We had a great time together. And I go, have a good flight. He goes, what do you mean? He turns to me and I go, ripped my plane ticket in half. Didn't give a crap about the money, nothing. I'll go, see you later. He goes, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to drive to LA now.
Good for you.
And then I ended up hanging out and living with my agent and whatever. But I did that a lot. So,
were you single?
Yeah.
How many?
I put up numbers.
Good numbers, right?
Good numbers. Solid numbers.
West Coast, you put up.
West Coast. I belong on the West Coast.
I put up numbers on the West Coast. I'm like exotic. I'm like a fat unicorn.
So I'm in Lake Tahoe. Same thing. I was supposed to fly home.
Right.
Looked at my old friends and I was like, And at that point, I didn't really have a plan. My like I said, my old college roommate was sort of hinting, why don't you come see me? Ripped up a ticket. It was my thing. Rip up the ticket in front of everybody. But that time, it was like, that was a little risky. So then I'm like, all right, time to rent a car. All the car rentals, I couldn't find a car. And I finally found, no joke, they said, this is pretty much the last car in Lake Tahoe. Drove this horrendous car all the way to San Francisco. And I was supposed to be there, I don't know, maybe a couple days. And I was going to figure out a flight home. And I was there like 2 weeks. Loved San Francisco and the entire area.
It's beautiful there.
Growing up as a very closed-minded kid with a strict mom, you hear San Francisco, all you hear is gay.
Right.
And you don't, and
it has nothing. It's a
nothing
part of the city.
But I was going to say nothing against the gay, but that's what you hear. San Francisco is.
This is ignorant.
Of course, thank you, and yeah, I mean, go with that thought.
It's ignorant. I mean, I'm in San Francisco all the time. If you are a heterosexual male, it's a very target-rich environment.
What do you mean?
There's a large gay community of males, but there is a larger community of single women.
The women in San Francisco crush LA. Crush LA.
Women in LA are not my thing.
But San Francisco, the women in San Francisco were way hotter than LA.
And they're all alone.
Way hotter.
They're all alone.
But when I was walking around San Francisco, I wasn't thinking, my point is, I wasn't thinking, I heard my whole life San Francisco. As soon as you hear San Francisco, you hear gay. And look,
it's not like that.
Not against any of that, but I'm just telling you,
right.
Closed-minded, strict parents and all that. And then I finally got out there to see my college roommate. I'm like, there is so much going on here. This place is amazing. It's a bit liberal. I lean a little left, but not that. I'm not that lefty.
One good thing about the gay community, especially out in the West Coast, is as a heterosexual, having a large gay community lets you say things that you can't say, like on the East Coast. Like when I'm on the West Coast, I can be like in a room full of girls. I'm like, I'm sad. And everyone's like, oh, that's all right. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm in New York and I'm like, I'm sad, they're like, go to a doctor. Right. What's wrong with you?
You can show your feminine side.
Oh, yeah. Like the whole time I'm like,
that's hilarious.
Like, oh, my God, I love meringue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, my God, cupcakes. And it's totally cool.
Because as men, Me and
Right.
my wife talk about this a lot.
Right.
As men, we're not really allowed to show our
No.
feminine. And every male has a feminine side.
Oh my God!
And
When I'm
F
in
you
California,
if you disagree with that.
yes, I'm in California crying, eating ice cream, watching rom-coms, like.
And they're just getting wet. Oh my God! Because women want you to show a bit of a feminine,
I
bit
think
of
I
emotion.
cry the whole time I'm in California. I'm just a basket case.
But I would move to San Francisco tomorrow if that was an East Coast city. That place is, I mean, it's crazy liberal though. Let's not, let's not underplay this. But
On the surface, but what
my
one thing-
my roommate was taking me to all sorts of killer restaurants where the homeless, like we're talking expensive restaurants, homeless
the Mission.
laying
Yeah.
out all over
Yeah.
this. You're literally stepping over homeless people to have an amazing meal, and the whole city just accepts that whole vibe.
Well, the weirdest thing that happened to me in San Francisco was something that's only happened to me once and happened to me in San Francisco. I was coming out of one of my favorite restaurants and I'm walking down the street, had a couple beers in me, but wasn't paying attention. I stepped in human poop.
Wow.
That, with everything I've gone through in my life, that bothered me.
Yeah.
It was just, I couldn't get clean enough, Opie. It was something that
I get it.
it stopped me dead in my tracks. The smell,
I
knew immediately from the slip
Yeah.
of it, from the moisture content of it, from everything. What just
Oh,
happened.
you know right
know.
away.
There's no-
right away because you could feel the greasiness of
Exactly. It's the whole.
it. Because dog poo would be like,
It's got a different texture.
you step in dog poo, you stop immediately. Human poo, you're gonna slide.
Oh my God! It is so slippery, and you can't get it off.
Mm-hmm.
Opie, I left my shoe right.
Oh no,
there.
I've thrown sneakers away after.
I got into a cab.
Yeah.
With no sneakers, and I didn't think of any other logical thing to do.
Yeah.
There was no way I wanted this shoe on me for another second.
Right. I don't know where we were at, but San Francisco. Guy Fieri,
Yeah.
Northern California.
Yeah.
Yeah, San Francisco is a special place. I loved it,
Yeah,
man.
it's beautiful. Not a good walking town for me because I'm a little heavy in
With the
front of
hills and stuff?
Yeah, man.
Sidewalks with stairs like carved into the sidewalks.
In San Francisco, where you leave me, chances are that's where you're going to find me.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to.
I don't know how you survive if you're an older person in San Francisco, because you are, even if you're in shape, you're huffing and puffing.
Yeah. And the trolley system sucks.
And then I went to Muir. Is it called Muir Woods?
I know what you're talking about.
The petrified forest.
Yeah,
Oh my
beautiful.
God, we loved it. Yeah, so I went the first time, and then I told my now wife, oh my God, I got to show you this place, Alcatraz, the whole thing.
Beautiful.
I loved it, and that's where we found out we were going to be parents.
Good for you.
Which was a pretty
I
special
took my
moment.
wife there once. She didn't like it that much.
That's why you're in a cabin now.
That's why we're in a cab.
So anyway, that's how you met Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
We'll tell Guy Fieri stories later on. So, do you remember when we first met?
Yep.
You were in studio with him, right?
Yep. I was there setting up. We just opened Guy Fieri's New York City restaurant,
Right.
Times Square.
Right.
And we're cooking burgers for you and Anthony.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, Guy, entertaining as all hell.
Oh, I mean, he is a consummate entertainer.
And I'm going to kiss his ass too, because, when I got fired from my last job, I've met a lot of people, a lot of celebrities, a lot of people I think they were my friends for real.
Right.
One of the calls was almost immediately Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
I was in shock how I got fired, and we could talk about that on a future episode. No
14
problem.
episodes.
No kidding. But I'm like, this is a good dude.
Yeah.
He called me immediately. I think I was fired. You must have told him. I was fired maybe.
No, he called me.
Oh, really?
He called me. He's like, "How's Ope?" And I said, "I'll call him." He's like, "All right."
I
He called you that same day.
No, I wasn't good. And we'll talk about that another day. I mean, I went through therapy, meditation, yoga, and I'll mention this now. This will be a future episode. I saw a shaman.
You
And
dork.
that's the reaction I wanted.
What did you do? What did he give you, a pair of nunchucks?
Oh, wait till I tell you that.
A shaman?
An
How
actual
rich are you?
shaman with the tribal drums in my building in Manhattan.
No.
Waking up the neighbors. I'm like,
He came to your apartment, your beautiful apartment with
it's
drums.
an hour story. He came twice.
Make sure Vic Henley's here for
Came
that.
twice.
You recalled the shaman.
Who do we need for the shaman story?
A shaman.
Yeah. I want Mike Cannon.
Mike Cannon would be great.
I want him. And Vic and Sherrod, definitely.
Oh, my God. Sherrod would be
Oh, you guys are
over.
going to beat the crap out of me.
I can't wait.
He came to my apartment twice.
The shaman.
Yeah. Meditating, shooting arrows at all my enemies.
He shot arrows, like real arrows?
At all my enemies during meditation.
Did I get hit with an arrow?
No,
I don't know what's going on now. I'm so confused.
no, that's when I knew you were a real dude. Because
he said no arrow.
I go, what about Carl? He said, nah.
No arrow for him.
Nah,
And he hit
Carl
the
was
drums.
cool. Right, Carl. Carl was in a pelt fighting your battle. I saw a shaman.
This is creepier than your neighbor holding your hand listening to Beatles records from Japan.
No, he wasn't holding my hand.
Oh, it was close.
He wasn't holding
Look
my
at
hand.
how you framed the story. Well, it was snowing out.
I saw a shaman.
Oh, man.
I don't even know if my wife wants to tell this story.
I don't think she does. I'm going to speak for your wife. This is a bad story to tell.
And I got to say this carefully.
Please, because I'm already on the fence with this whole podcast thing. You with the shaman.
I was scared I snorted heroin.
What?
Never done heroin before.
Me either, but how do you... You'll know. Did your nose burn?
It's a story for another podcast.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah. For a while, I thought I might have snorted heroin by accident.
By accident?
Yes. No, I'm paranoid of all hardcore drugs.
What? How are you in an...
We got to settle in and do the shaman story on a
Did
future
he bring
episode.
the powder with him?
Yes.
So you thought
It was
you
part
did...
of the whole thing with the tribal drums and the meditation and the Reiki.
And is this on Craigslist or Angie's List?
No, he's a legit guy.
Okay, I understand it, Opie, but what do you...
He raises bees.
I want to fight this guy. I'm going to hit this guy with a bat. This isn't real.
It's real.
Opie, you know how I
In a
do it?
hoity-toity apartment in Manhattan, a shaman came over with all the stuff.
What stuff?
Like
Heroin pouches?
bone necklaces, and
No.
and leaves that he had to rub all over me.
In Manhattan?
Yes.
So he drove his little smart car up to your house with all this shit.
No, this guy does that. No, he's the real deal.
The real deal of what?
I don't know. He wasn't faking it. Let's just put it that way. There's fakers out there. This guy believes everything he was
There's
doing.
a guy on 3rd Avenue that throws poo. He ain't faking
Believes.
it either.
No, this guy believes.
Jesus.
I got to get Mike Cannon for that episode. Anyway,
You
so
gotta say
Guy
that
Fieri.
once with me. Go ahead.
Guy Fieri was one of the, I shouldn't say the few, but I was very surprised when I got fired.
Right.
Who reached out and who didn't.
Right.
Guy Fieri was one of the first people to reach out and goes, Ope, I believe in you. Whatever you do next, I will be there. He actually said, I'll do the first podcast because I started saying, maybe it's time to podcast. He goes, I will do the first one with you guys.
That's great. He's a good...
And as he said all that, I believed every word he said. He's genuine as it comes.
I'll give you a quick story. I can't tell you the whole story because I don't think I'm not even supposed to talk about it. But when I was in California living with him, I got into a lot of trouble.
Really? How old are you for that?
In my 20s.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, Opie, a lot of trouble.
I get it. I got in my lot of trouble in Rochester, New York, and Buffalo, like I said earlier. And thank God I did that. Because if I was in Manhattan, California, I don't think I would have survived.
I got into so much trouble that I ended up on a plane without telling anybody back to New York, just running from the law.
Really?
Yeah. And left Guy high and dry.
Really?
Yeah. I just cut all the cords.
You're not allowed to tell the story?
I could. Do you want to hear a story?
Yes.
Dude.
I was sort of starting to wrap up, but screw it.
So we're at a bar. I'm in a company van. I get a DUI. I kind of hit a cop car. I was wasted in a company van. I get locked up. They get put away. The minute I get out of the jail from being locked up, I get on the first flight from California, and I come to New York. And I cut all ties. I didn't know what to do. I was like, I can't believe I just burned that bridge or whatever. I just
left him high and dry?
Just left everything. The restaurant was like 2 weeks before it opened.
Out of panic.
You're
like, he's not going to understand this.
He's not going to understand this. I just ruined everything. I'm out of here. I'm just ejecting out of this situation.
Right.
That man, with all the power that he has, didn't call me up. I didn't answer. Called me up for like a month. What's going on? Didn't answer. Finally, 6 months later, I call him and I says, I messed up, huh? He goes, real bad. He goes, you put me in a giant problem. You probably cost me $1 million with your crazy shit. I said, Guido, I'm sorry, man. You know, I didn't know what to do. He goes, come home. Took me back.
Wow.
Like nothing. Now, it's at the height of his fame. Like when he's still going up. When someone like me is an absolute liability. And he said, whatever happens, happens. You're my boy. You know what I mean? You've been nothing but good. You had this problem. And that taught me everything.
You're getting a little emotional.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good guy, man.
Dude, Spider.
There's a spider.
I didn't believe you.
There he is.
We're in Carl's cabin in the middle of the woods in New Jersey, and he told me about the spiders, but
killed as many
that's
as
the
I
first one I saw.
Yeah.
I killed as many as So Guy would do my show on a regular basis. We hit it off, absolutely. Loved the guy. And then you would just pepper. Like, Guy is he's a great personality.
Oh, he's just big. He's gigantic.
We don't even need to say that. But I was like laughing at Guy, you know, and he's telling these stories, and I'm definitely into it. And then you would be peppering from the side, knowing your place.
Right.
No offense, but knowing your place in that situation. But you would pepper, like, you know, you were meant for this. And you would get your lines in, and I'd be like, God, another funny line for this guy. Who's this guy? Carl, you know, whatever. So then Guy started coming, you know, to Sirius XM, and he had a lot of shows to do. And there were times he was there, but he couldn't do our show because he promised other shows. Right. And he would be walking. Look at that spider! Dang!
Quick here.
What kind of spider is that?
Scary, creepy spider.
Have you been bitten by the spiders in the cabin?
I kill them right away. Sometimes when I see more than 2 spiders, I put the whole place on lockdown.
Yeah,
and I don't go to sleep till nothing moves.
Wow. Anyway,
he's really taking advantage.
So he'd walk by the studio and wave, and you'd be following behind him because every time he was in New York, you went with him. And then because of hearing you peppering with those lines, I'm like, there's something about this guy. Right. And you walk by the studio, and I know you weren't busy like him. You were more there to support. You were there to support. Yeah. So I waved you in. And then that's how, you know, we bonded and became friends and did some fun radio together. Yeah. But it was just because I knew I couldn't get Guy, but I remember you being, you know, pretty.
And getting me was basically because you could talk about Guy and I would still be in there.
Right.
But you've always been like that. You always knew who was funny and who wasn't, and you were fast like that.
Well, I appreciate that. So, but that's how we got together, for the people that are wondering. And it's, we've been doing this ever since.
Yeah, and now look at us now, huh? The top of the world.
So finally.
Looking at a spider.
So I know that spider is rocking. He's basically saying, all right, wrap it up.
If you weren't here, I would kill him 100 times.
So obviously, you know, I came up to your cabin here in the middle of Jersey, and why are you in this cabin? I know, but what do you want to say?
Well, we're still working on it. Let's just say me and Marie aren't in the best place right now. You know, it's a lot. It's
Now, Marie is your wife?
My wife.
Still wife?
For now, yeah.
All right.
For now, you know, it's just a lot of things have happened this year. We're growing in 2 different. Well, I'm growing. She's not. She's just angry.
She's just angry.
Yeah, she's angry. But
how long have you guys been together?
9 years.
Wow.
9 years. And it was hard, and I knew it was an uphill battle from the beginning.
Right.
You know, I knew. She came with 2 kids into the relationship. She's had a hard life. She wants things her way or the highway. And if you know me for more than 5 minutes, you know, I don't care what you want, you know? And it's just 2 alphas, and it got to a point where it's like the War of the Roses.
Really? That bad?
Oh, Opie.
See, that's one thing about you I didn't know.
Yeah.
Did not know you guys are having problems.
Oh, I don't.
You guys hit it well. I would see you guys at Marie's in Chatham. And it seemed like you guys were on the same page as far as the restaurant goes.
I think
we didn't socialize a lot, obviously.
No,
I mean, me and you have, but I mean, you and Marie.
I don't think we were on the same page for a long, long time. And I think what happens is the travel and everything, it really, you just status quo. You just keep pushing, kicking the can down the road, and then until it explodes. You know what I mean? And this last year has been...
It exploded.
Yeah. When you start to find out stuff about another person that you just don't like,
What can you say?
I mean,
I don't want to push
not
you.
yet. I mean, for another podcast,
I know the whole story.
I know you know the whole story, but the thing is,
and I'll wait for you.
Yeah, wait for me. But basically, what it is when something can go as catastrophically wrong as it possibly can. It sucks because there's 2 kids involved, and I just want to make sure the kids don't get weaponized and everything.
Right.
Even though that seems to be happening anyway, but it's just very difficult, especially when you're a stepdad. And something goes wrong in your marriage, you're automatically the odd man out. The mother and the children, no matter what you did for them, they unionize and they become this little cluster. And then you realize overnight, you've lost everything.
Right.
Emotionally, everything just shuts off.
Wow.
You don't have one person angry at you. You have one person, 2 children.
You didn't just lose your wife. You lost the kids in this too, more or less. And
it's overnight.
Have you talked to him since?
No, she shut it down.
Because I know you guys, I could say this, you've been separated for a while now.
Yeah, for a while.
I mean, I knew something was up when I saw
I'm living in a barn?
Well, I saw you Instagramming this cabin. I'm like, all right, what is going on? You're like, no, man, I just like living in the woods.
Well, because, you're trying to fix everything.
No, I understand. I'm trying to make it, lighten it up a little bit. But I knew right away, I'm like, oh, shit, something's up.
You always have that hope till the end. Like, I'm not a quitter. I don't like to give up on things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, you know what? Maybe we can fix it. And, because remember, I chose to get married. It's not like then there was no shotgun. There was no reason.
Right.
It wasn't economical. I brought all the cards to the table. You know what I mean? And I think maybe that was the problem. You know what I mean? At the end, I'll just leave it at this. So, sometimes people love you and sometimes people need you. And there's a big difference.
Whoa, that's like a cliffhanger. Awkward. Wow. I mean, I'll follow your lead on that, obviously. I know all the stories. And
there's some stories in there, huh?
And that leads us to Carl's cabin. I like the vibe here, though, man.
It's a little
you can focus.
Oh, right.
We haven't seen a person.
But I think it sets it.
Right.
We're like the Chili Peppers, right? Making an album.
I mean, Westwood One wants me to be in a fancy studio in front of, like I said earlier,
fancy private bathroom.
This is what I want. Very intimate,
right? And it has the woods and everything.
No distractions.
Right? We could just blow through it.
Yeah.
How freaked out would Chris Stefano be up here? If he saw that spider, he'd be done.
I was trying to get him.
Oh my god!
He's like, dude, I got a meeting with Comedy Central. I'll do the next one. So
no, he won't.
No, we'll get Chris Stefano.
I hope so.
We'll get all our pals. So, you know what? This is a good place to end it. We move on, and I wanted to start at Carl's cabin because I love this guy for real. I really like doing radio with him, but I love this guy.
Thank you, Opie.
He's a very good friend of mine. We hit it off immediately. So I was like, I start with Carl, I go to his cabin, and then now we move on and we grab Vic. I kind of have that feel like let's get the band back together. For the people that remember the last episode of the radio show, which I loved doing. There were only 2 times in my career, and I've been doing this a long time, since I was 18, and I'm no spring chicken. 2 times I was feeling it. When I met Anthony and we were on a rocket ship and became incredibly successful. And then there were certainly some real down years there, without a doubt, that we could talk about on future episodes. And then the last year I was at SiriusXM, I met, Carl I met before that, but Carl, Vic Henley, Sherrod Small, Chris Stefano, you throw a little Theo Vaughn in there, and Doug Benson, and a few of these other guys. And I was feeling it again, going, this is why I got into radio. I only felt it twice, and I was feeling it that last time with that last version of the radio show. So that's why it was such a bummer.
Such funny shows we had. I mean,
it was amazing. I know it was working. That's why it drove me nuts when they gave me the pipe, as Brother Weeze would like to say.
Right.
We're going up to see Brother Weeze, by the way.
I can't wait.
We're going up soon.
I have such a
real
crush
soon.
on the co-host. What's her name?
Deanna King.
Oh, she's a smoke show. I'm going up single now. Creep too.
Forget it.
She rode you for a little while because you wouldn't take a picture with her.
Yeah, but we could talk about no offense, but I mean, Weez has had so many co-hosts. You know what I mean? I was like, I want a picture with me, you, and Weez.
And I wanted a picture with her the whole time. I'm like, come on, Hope.
And she was like, she got very offended that she wasn't in the picture. But I've known Weez for like, God, at this point.
I have a crush on her, so I'm going to take her side. I think.
All right. Well, we're going up to Rochester to do a podcast.
Yeah.
We'll do like 2 or 3 up there. But anyway, what was I saying? So, that version of the radio show, I freaking love. So when I got the pipe, as Brother Weez would say, I was so depressed.
You were visibly pissed
and depressed because it's so hard to get a radio show that gets traction. Right. It's so hard to get a podcast to get traction. But that was new, exciting. It was working. The feedback was great. We were selling out comedy shows. Yeah. Not that we did a lot, but they were selling out.
That could have kept going and going.
It was working. So it was a tough one. It was tough. So, all right, he's yawning. We got to get out of here.
I'm not yawning. I'm just fat. And
this was a lot of fun. So I want to thank Carl Ruiz for having me up at his cabin. Yeah. We're doing this together, by the way. I guess they're going to build me a studio, but I'd rather do this out and about. Is this fun? Can
I ask you a question about the studio? Ahead. Is the studio going to represent anything like the equipment that they brought you?
with knobs and meters, nothing digital whatsoever.
Are you with Westwood One USA or Westwood One Chechnya?
I did 3 hours with you in your cabin, and I just noticed that it's recording in mono.
Oh my God, we're the worst.
Got to start somewhere.
What a mess.
I know how to build things. Don't worry, this is going to turn into something. So, but I don't know if I want to do this in a studio week after week. I love the vibe of just getting out there and doing it this way.
I'm glad you came here.
Yeah,
I really am.
And no one's doing it this way.
See the birdhouse that I built? So I built this birdhouse outside.
Yeah.
So I could see the birds. Look how dumb I am. I didn't put a little piece of wood by the hole.
Yeah, they can't stand.
So the birds fly into it. They hate it, right. And then they leave.
You need you need something they could stand on, and then they could go into the little hole. Yeah. And you need a little feeder tray.
Right, birdhouse expert. I didn't know any of this. Birdhouse whisper.
I got one at my beach house. And I'm like, ooh, another sparrow.
Another sparrow.
And then you learn the black crows are just nasty.
Black crows are people.
They're nasty.
They're reincarnated people.
And yeah, I believe that. Yeah. I don't know if I believe that. I just said that. But it keeps all the other birds away. The blue jays, and the orioles.
Black crows are monsters.
And the cardinals. They're just animals.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So we're going to wrap up. Thanks to Carl Ruiz. This has been a lot of fun.
We had some fun.
It's the Opie Radio Podcast. It's free. So do me a favor, go to opieradio.com, maybe buy some merch. I'd appreciate that, to be honest with you, because we're giving you the product for free. So maybe buy something.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have a Carl Ruiz shirt up there soon. I got a nice dip shirt.
We're going to do a Beyond Reproach shirt.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
All right. It'll be up on opieradio.com soon. I like that. Carl Ruiz on Twitter. Also, Sabor Chef on Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
You're one of the better Instagrammers out there.
I have fun.
For real.
I have fun.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of followers, 20,000 or something. No, yeah, but everyone's legit. Like they people just everything is comment after comment after just.
I'm very competitive. I'm like, he's got half the followers than me, but what? He's getting 20,000 freaking views on this video.
But I'm putting a picture of cheesecake. You're taking a picture of a tulip.
No, your food stuff is look.
Yeah, it's food.
As people know, I'm not a foodie.
No,
whatsoever. But I'm a good listener, and you've taught me a lot.
You eat well, though. Even for not being a foodie, you're very opinionated. You're like, I don't like that. I like this.
But I love your take on food. Before that, I'm like, who gives a crap? Right. But you explain in such a way that it's really interesting.
It is.
For real.
There's common sense woven into it.
So it's Sabor Chef on Instagram, Carl Ruiz. How do you say your last name?
It don't matter.
You will not tell me the
Ruiz.
Ruiz
is
so,
what
all right, it's Carl Ruiz.
Just however you want.
Ruiz. All right. And I'm Opie Radio on Twitter. And let's see, Opie Radio on Instagram and YouTube for all the videos. We're going to make this a very visual podcast as well. So it's Opie Radio on YouTube. And I think that's it. I think we did it, Carl.
Westwood One for the sick equipment.
Yeah, but you watch what we do with this. We start from a... Oh, sorry.
Can we?
I was going to say we started from a shitty cabin, but I do like the charm of this
Did
place.
you just gonna call my cabin shitty?
Yeah.
Oh, mother.
And then I got away with it, and then I couldn't help myself, and I had to acknowledge that I was saying that. It's a little small, Carl, that's all.
You're just bigger than normal.
It's a little small.
At 5'7", I can run through this.
But you watch how this grows.
The cabin or the
podcast?
Oh, I thought you were talking-
and the cabin, because you already told me your plans for this.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
I'm going to get a new window.
All right, we're babbling now. Guys, thank you so much.
Boo, 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 boo.